I got a bunch of paint, and I've taken the kids and Robyn, and we are going out to Coyote Pass to paint.
I think this is what our family's gonna look like right now. Okay, look, what do you guys think? Janelle and David and I, all of our kids are gonna be together. Robyn and Cody and their kids. And I'm not sure what Mary's gonna be doing.
No cameras, no producers, nothing but the soft hum of fluorescence and the groan of courthouse benches. The Flagstaff courtroom wasn't full, but it didn't have to be. Everyone who was important was seated already, and everyone who wasn't was soon going to be the subject of testimony that was going to ripple far beyond these walls. Christine sat at the table of the plaintiff. One blue binder in front of her, labeled Coyote Pass, 2021. She didn't appear to be seething. She seemed prepared. To her left, Cody fidgeted in his chair, his jaw tight, his tie knotted too tight, his control growing tenuous. Robyn sat directly behind him, her lips pursed so tightly they'd lost their hue. The judge glanced over the file in front of him, adjusting his glasses like he was preparing for surgery. "Mrs. Brown," he said carefully, "you've submitted new evidence regarding the property titled Coyote Pass." Christine stood slowly, the binder in her hands like a weight she'd carried for years. "Yes, Your Honor. What I am going to share with you is about what happened in 2021, when we all believed Coyote Pass was still being negotiated, but it wasn't. Not for Robyn." The words hung there like smoke. Cody glanced down at his notes. Robyn didn't budge. "Continue," the judge instructed, leaning forward. Christine opened the binder, turning to a page with a red tab marked June 2021. She didn't need to read it. She'd learned it all by heart. In June of that year, she testified, her voice unwavering, "I was informed, along with Janelle, Mary, and Robyn, that the land was still under appraisal, that we couldn't subdivide it yet, that we had to wait." She glared directly at Robyn now. But 3 weeks later, Robyn filed an individual claim with the county recorder's office for parcel B2, 0.63 acres. The courtroom didn't gasp, but the silence grew heavier. Christine turned the document over. "This is the deed, transferred to a holding trust by the name of RB Holdings LLC, signed, notarized, filed." She hesitated. "The same week we were informed no action could be taken." The judge furrowed his brow. Cody recoiled, as if distance might mute the blow. "And you are certain this trust has something to do with Mrs. Robyn Brown?" the judge asked. Christine nodded. "It is owned by her cousin. Same address as Robyn's expired business license. Same email, domain, but it gets worse." She turned the page. "The payoff for that parcel didn't come out of Robyn's personal account. It came from our shared family escrow. Funds we were assured were tied up for appraisal." Now the courtroom rustled. Even Mary, who sat way in the back, leaned forward. Robyn's mouth opened, but nothing emerged. "Do you have proof?" the judge queried. Christine pushed across a notarized bank transfer. $74,200 described as family holding fee. Redirected from RB Holdings without sign. Off approval. I never signed. Janelle never signed. Mary never signed. The judge scanned the paper, then at Christine, and who authorized this transfer. Christine's tone was soft now. "Cody, with power of attorney, we had no idea he'd renewed, listing Robyn as secondary beneficiary." Robyn said something at last, but it wasn't loud. "We were only trying to preserve the land." Christine slowly turned. "From whom, Robyn, us?" The judge's gavel did not come down, but the weight of what had been uttered lay like stone. Coyote Pass was not in 2021, simply land. It was a plan, a dream, a lie. And today, the map that guided that lie had finally surfaced, with Christine holding the compass, and the rest of the family learning they'd been walking blind. The binder stayed open on the table, like an open wound, red tabs, printouts, signature lines. But it was the next item Christine retrieved, tucked inside a clear plastic sleeve that made the air inside the courtroom suddenly sharper. It wasn't an accounting document, not initially. It resembled a letter, twice folded, creased ever so slightly. Christine pushed it over to the clerk, then turned to the judge. "This is an official property appraisal receipt, May 14th, 2021. It was sent to a private PO box in Flagstaff with Robyn's name listed on the registration. Not the family address, not even her joint mailbox with Cody, just hers. Cody cocked his head as if he didn't get it. Robyn didn't flinch. "Your Honor," Christine went on. "This report attests the land was appraised and ready to be divided 2 months before we knew. Robyn got this, none of us did, and she signed a copy back, which I received through a public records request, after filing a motion for access to the assessor's office correspondence." She flipped open the binder to a tab that said, "Correspondence, Fay Appraisal," and pulled out a highlighted copy of the appraisal confirmation. The judge read it silently, his face growing harder by the word. "This letter is opposite the official family announcement issued on the 3rd of July 2021, said Christine, turning to another paper, "where Cody informed us that land wasn't yet ready for splitting because of pending assessments. That was videoed. I've got the recording." There was a pause, so fraught it nearly disintegrated. Christine rummaged in her handbag, produced a labeled USB drive, and handed it to the clerk. The courtroom speakers clicked as the sound started. Cody's clear, confident voice. "We have to wait. The county hasn't delivered anything final. It is still a disaster. No sense trying to split what isn't on paper yet." The sound clicked off. Christine stared at him. But it was on paper, and Robyn had the paper. Robyn shifted uncomfortably, clasping her arms around herself. "I didn't think it was settled," she whispered. "I figured they would send one to all of us." The judge leaned forward. "But you signed it back, Mrs. Brown. You returned confirmation signed." Christine pulled out a final page from the tab. She didn't sign, she asked for confidentiality. The judge frowned. "Confidentiality." Christine nodded. Clause 4B. She requested that no other parties be informed of her advance access for internal family disputes. The courtroom stilled. Robyn hung her head. Cody glared at blank space. Christine did not gloat. She just stepped back. "Your Honor, this was not a misunderstanding. This was strategy. This was concealment. And it occurred the same week we shot a scene where Cody instructed us to have faith in the process." The judge cleared his throat. "Let it be noted that the court deems the letter, the signature, and the recording as admissible evidence of probable misrepresentation." Christine slowly sat down, her binder still ajar like a battleground. This was no longer about paperwork. It was about what wasn't said, what wasn't revealed, and what was consciously withheld, while the other wives smiled on television, believing they still had equal ground under their feet. Christine didn't stir for an instant. She allowed the gravity of the appraisal letter to fall in the courtroom like dust after a controlled burn. Then she leaned in and flipped the binder to a new red tab marked Transfer. Number 2079, Fay Escrow Outflow. No one picked up on how Janelle shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her gaze narrowing ever so slightly. She was already making connections in her mind. And soon, Christine would make them impossible to overlook. "Your Honor," Christine started once more, her voice firm but softer now, "what you are about to see is a paper trail connecting the 2021 deed transfer back to money withdrawn directly from our joint escrow account, an account we were all assured was held in abeyance awaiting verification of taxes paid." She fished in her case for a printout. 5 stapled together pages, wire transfer records highlighted, and digital bank confirmation numbers. She presented them to the clerk, who handed them to the judge. "The payment given to RB Holdings, LLC, registered by Robyn's cousin, is not only made during hold period, but it also circumvented group authorization," she stated. "You will notice here a $74,200 withdrawal, made on the 8th of June 2021. That figure was never mentioned in our family meeting minutes. It wasn't even included in the monthly ledger we were provided with by Cody." The judge leafed through the pages, pausing at the yellow highlighted line Christine had marked. The memo reads, "Coyote Pass parcel prepayment Fay confidential distribution." "Who typed up this memo?" "Robyn," Christine replied, "matter." "Of factly," she reported it herself, via an account connected to the online banking portal we all shared, but with admin access that only she and Cody had. Robyn's mouth dropped open, but nothing emerged. Janelle sat forward. That wasn't in any of the family budget reports." She spoke out loud, before she even knew she was talking. Christine looked at her. "Because it was erased, And the only reason I knew it was because I asked for archived activity through the bank's digital forensics unit after I found discrepancies between what the escrow had sitting in there and what our expected totals were. She paused, and then continued, 5 withdrawals labeled confidential, but only one had a corresponding deed transfer. Robyn's Cody said finally, low and defensive, we were attempting to secure the parcel prior to the appraisal altering the value. Christine stared at him, serene but biting. Then why didn't you inform us? Why didn't you inform me? You allowed Janelle to believe she had rights to that area. You allowed her to walk it with a surveyor. You stood there while she discussed the building. Janelle paled. The recollection hit her suddenly. The 15th of June 2021, hiking the East Ridge with her son, designing a vegetable garden. And now she knew it was never hers to construct upon. Christine stood before the judge once more. Your Honor, this wasn't economic deceit. It was emotionally manipulation. Robyn took land in the name of unity. Cody facilitated it in the disguise of confusion. And the rest of us, especially Janelle, were expected to be grateful for crumbs from a table that was already cleared. The judge nodded slowly, then tapped the stack of transfer logs with his pen. We'll admit these as evidence, and we'll need the full bank archive for verification. Christine passed over a sealed manila envelope, already prepared. Robyn didn't cry, not yet, but her eyes glistened. Because for the first time, the courtroom wasn't merely hearing Christine. It was believing her, and Janelle, she wasn't merely listening, she was recalling how she had served as a diversion, while Robyn signed her name on the land they all believed was still owned by the dream. Christine did not blink as she moved to grab the last item of the present tab. One more USB drive marked with indelible marker in tight, deliberate letters. The 3rd of June, Cody Appraiser recorded call. She did not glance at Cody, she did not need to. The moment the judge nodded, the clerk inserted the drive into the system, and the courtroom speakers clicked to life. What followed was a moment that would fracture everything. Cody's voice came through the speakers, low and casual, almost smug. Yeah, so we're hoping to move forward with Parcel B first, he said. The one on the ridge, easier access, less rock clearing. A pause, then another voice, probably the appraiser. So this would be for Robyn Brown, right? Cody replied in a rush. Yes, she has got the clean credit. We'll go through her cousin's LLC temporarily, but it is hers. We want it to appear distinct until the rest of them are brought up to speed. The room did not gasp, but every conscience within it tensed like they'd overheard something they shouldn't. Christine let the audio run. I just want to lock this parcel before appraisal value shifts, Cody continued. We're not exactly advertising this to the rest of the group yet. They're not ready emotionally. The appraiser replied with a laugh. Understood. Confidential transfer then. Yeah, Cody confirmed. Just flag it private. I'll send payment from the joint account but mark it from RB Holdings. The others won't glance closely. Christine's busy with filming, and Janelle's still preoccupied with the west lot. Christine's fist clenched into a brief fist, then released. The judge held up his hand. Stop the recording. Silence, dead silence. Christine rose to her feet again. Your Honor, that conversation occurred 10 days prior to the family meeting where Cody informed all of us that the land was still in appraisal limbo, 10 days. And he'd already picked Robyn's parcel, taken payment, and arranged how to keep it concealed. Janelle's eyes bulged, blinking frantically, struggling to absorb the shock. Robyn sat stiff, her hands clasped in her lap, still. Cody had the appearance of being doused in ice water. The judge pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. So this was a private meeting, undisclosed to the rest of the family, with the intent to execute a transfer under the radar of group consensus. Christine nodded. Yes, Your Honor, and the only reason we have this tape is because the appraiser, according to company policy, records all client calls for liability reasons. I asked them to retrieve their archive under my discovery motion, and this call was coded for RB Holdings. The judge stood directly before Cody now. Is that your voice, Mr. Brown? Cody did not respond. The judge said again, more loudly. Mr. Brown. Yes, Cody grumbled. It is me. The judge jotted something on his docket, then turned to Christine once more. Go on, Mrs. Brown. Christine addressed the courtroom gallery now, not to rub it in their faces, but to enlighten. This wasn't an error. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was orchestration. He spoke for us all publicly, and only for Robyn behind closed doors. We discussed foundations while he filed deeds. Adjacent while we strolled across the land, he signed it away. And we didn't lose just square footage. Undefined way lost trust. Undefined the audio was still on hold, the tension suspended like the court itself refused to unpause what was left. Undefined but Christine wasn't finished. Vertical bar, she retreated to the table, set down the binder, and whispered, not to the judge, not to the court, but to Cody. Vertical bar. You said we were waiting on the paperwork. But you already had a pen. And this time it was Janelle who gazed at Cody, not like a wife, but like a witness. And she was beginning to recall everything she used to choose to forget. Christine breathed deeply before opening the binder to a tab labeled Private Correspondence, Fay June 2021. It was smaller than the rest, but each page within it had the sharpness of a scalpel. Your Honor, she began, her voice softer now, but no less sharp. I'd like to submit a printed thread of email communications between Robyn Brown and the Coconino County Assessor's Office, as well as her correspondence with Valley Mountain Surveying, the firm contracted to mark boundaries for Coyote Pass Parcel B. She held up the stack as the clerk approached to receive it. These emails were submitted via Freedom of Information Act request. I submitted it in person after Robyn swore under oath during July of 2022 that she had never communicated directly to any office or agency part of the land transfer. The courtroom was silent once more. Cody seemed stuck in time. Robyn blinked rapidly, then shook her head as if attempting to shake something loose from memory or consequence. The judge read the front page. This is Robyn's email address. Yes, Christine attested, the same one used on her online jewelry venture and in previous TLC mailings. It is also listed under RB Holdings LLC, continue, the judge commanded. Christine approached the evidence screen and waved at the first page to be projected. A date flashed on the screen, the 9th of June 2021. From Robyn Brown, parcel boundary questions, discretion requested. Christine read on. Hi, this is Robyn Brown, agreeing on the parcel boundaries and coordinates we went over. I want to check the north and west readings before any documentation is sent out to other Brown family members. I'd prefer to keep this part under wraps until Cody and I have finalized our legal safeguards. She stepped back from the screen and addressed the judge once more. She didn't just show up, she guided the process. She requested discretion. She verified the parcel, prior to the family vote, prior to the division meeting, and prior to Janelle ever setting foot on the North Ridge. The following email was shown from Valley Mountain Surveying, the 11th of June 2021. Robyn, we've staked parcel B according to your instructions. GPS coordinates are as per your drawing. We marked the corners with red caps. You told us not to notify other stakeholders in the property. You've kept your word. Janelle gasped out loud. Christine didn't hesitate. She swiveled around to face Robyn. Red caps. That is what I trod over on the day of filming. I assumed it was from a previous survey. It wasn't. It was yours. Robyn's lips parted, then clamped shut again, her fists gripped tighter around her knees. That was Cody, she breathed softly. He said to double-check measurements. I didn't realize it was done. You responded to 6 emails, Christine told her. You confirmed 3 boundary drawings. You sent your driver's license and you asked for a non-disclosure stipulation on the surveyor's bill? I've got that one too. She pulled out another paper from the binder. Cody lost his temper at last. She wasn't trying to steal it. We were simply ensuring she had something. I told her she'd receive a section. Christine didn't flinch. And you informed the rest of us that we were going to have a say, that we were doing this equally, that we were beginning again. Those were your words. She turned back to the judge. Your Honor, this is not about a single transaction anymore. This is about duplicity. Robyn claimed ignorance. These emails invalidate that. She agreed on measurements, staked the property, and particularly asked that nobody else be called until legal safeguards were established. The judge dipped his head a little and stated, Let the court note that the plaintiff has proffered verified written correspondence that is in conflict with earlier testimony. Mary, who was in the back row, put her hand over her mouth. Janelle glared at the screen. And Robyn, so confident once behind Cody's voice, now resembled a person who knew the microphone was finally on. The courtroom seemed to have lost all its oxygen. There was a shared stillness, the sort that doesn't arise out of silence but from a gasped breath. Holding, Christine carefully switched to a new page in her binder. This one titled, Education Fund, Fay Internal Memo. She unfolded a cream, colored printed document stamped Confidential Fay for Family Use Only, and presented it to the clerk. Your Honor, this next item was found in our old shared filing cabinet in the Flagstaff home, she explained. It is a scanned memo printed out by Cody and signed by Robyn, dated May 12, 2021, 2 weeks prior to the Coyote Pass appraiser meeting. She stopped, allowing the room to toughen up. It details an offer to sell off part of the family education fund to fund a short-term down payment on Parcel B. The listed reason: to secure Robyn's living stability due to her current credit advantage. You could have almost heard jaws fall in the courtroom. Christine glanced at the judge, who had leaned forward a bit. His brow furrowed as he read. According to the ledger notes, she went on, the fund had $142,000 left at that point. Money accumulated from TLC revenues over a few years, with mutual understanding that it would be set aside for the children's college education. But here, they recommend spending $68,000 to pursue a strategic property holding on Robyn Brown's behalf. She took a step back and gazed at Cody, who was visibly shaking his head, eyes wide, mouthing to himself. It wasn't supposed to be permanent, he finally exclaimed. It was a placeholder. She was going to pay it back. The other wives would get their share after. The judge's pen didn't stop moving. Christine, undeterred, projected the second page of the memo. You'll see here, she said, pointing to the screen. Robyn signed at the bottom. I, Robyn Brown, authorized the use of the education fund to secure Parcel B for long-term homestead development. Below that, Cody initiated, and nowhere was there any mention of notifying Mary, Janelle, or me. Robyn's voice at last cut through. We were going to tell you once the trust was signed. Cody said we couldn't risk anyone backing out of the deal. It had to be done fast. It was all about keeping the land in the family. Christine moved closer. You mean keeping it in your name, your LLC, your credit advantage. You held the children's future hostage, and you did it before even one of us got to vote. Janelle slapped her pen down on the table. I was saving that money for Savannah, she grumbled, staring at the memo. She had a whole plan. She wanted away from this mess. Christine wheeled back around to the judge. We all were misled. All the delays, all the canceled family meetings, all the episodes where we met, and Cody explained we were still working with the county. It was a stall because the decision had been made already. The money was spent already, and Robyn already had the map. The judge raised an eyebrow slowly, his voice firm and piercing. Mrs. Brown, has the education fund ever been replenished since this down payment was made? No, Your Honor. Not a single dollar has been reimbursed. And when I confronted Cody about it last fall, he informed me, quote, we'll make it back when we sell Mary's lot. A stunned murmur washed over the room. Mary sat like a statue. He wanted to sell my portion to cover up Robyn's error, she claimed, and didn't even bother her. Your Honor, the judge gavelled. This court will now proceed to freeze all additional access to the Brown Family Education Fund, he declared, subject to full review of disbursements and fiduciary accountability. Christine shut her binder. That was all I needed. Your Honor, accountability, not only for me, for our children. For the first time, Cody was speechless. His hands blocked his mouth. His legacy was burning. And Christine had just thrown gasoline on the roots. Christine returned to the witness stand like she had rehearsed every step. With calm precision, she tapped the final tab in her binder. This one marked TLC Raw Tapes, Fay, August 2021, and raised a large bubble-wrapped hard drive in her hand. Your Honor, she said with finality, I'm submitting this under subpoenaed evidence. Here is raw unaired video shot by TLC's Flagstaff production team on the 4th of August 2021, at what was to be a family picnic and property negotiation on Coyote Pass. What was recorded that day was never aired, but it upends everything. The judge nodded to the bailiff, who retrieved the drive and hooked it into the courtroom monitor. The lights went dark. A grainy date imprint showed up here, our Augo 4 2021 Faycam 3 Fay Raw. The hush in the courtroom was almost reverent, as if something big was about to happen. The video began with aerial footage of the Brown family sitting under a sunshade, picnic tables out behind, Coyote Pass rolling in all directions. Christine's voice was audible off camera, asking Janelle if her spot up by the trees would receive sunlight. Everyone seemed relaxed, near optimistic. Then the mood changed. During the clip, Robyn led Cody off to the side, saying something indistinguishable. His expression changed. Fury washed over him, and he strode in the direction of the camera crew. "Why are you continuing to roll?" he barked. "You need to turn that off." Now, but they didn't. The backup camera continued to roll from behind the tree line. "Christine's getting suspicious," Cody hissed at Robyn, not realizing his mic was still live. "I explained to her that we're still sorting out the parcels, but if she examines the files, she is going to see the date of the deed transfer. That surveyor timestamp is way off. We need to stall again." Robyn's face contorted, eyes shifting uneasily. "I instructed Valley Mountain to erase the old records," Cody grunted. "They said they purged the email, but Christine's a bloodhound right now. I'm telling you, she'll burn it all down." The judge's eyebrows lifted slightly. The court stenographer's keys clicked into overdrive. The footage jumped to a handheld angle. Cody was now pacing in front of the picnic area, arguing with the producer. "You're not airing any of this. Got it. This storyline is dead. If TLC wants another season, they better back the hell off my land." One of the cameramen whispered, "We're still rolling, Cody." And then the camera zoomed in on Christine. She was holding her phone up, eyes wide, scrolling through a document. "It's here," she murmured. "The deed parcel B, signed the 15th of June under Robyn's LLC. Her face drained of color, and then came the moment that nobody would ever forget. Cody fell to his knees and pounded his fists into the ground. "Damn it, Robyn! I told you not to file it until I told you to," he bellowed. "Now everything's destroyed." The courtroom gasped in unison, the clip cut there. No music, no edit, just sheer devastation. The lights returned. Christine spoke quietly, but with force. "This footage was buried. TLC edited it out of season 16. They told me it didn't fit into the episode storyline. But I had saved a copy of our call sheet and correlated it with the timestamp. When I made the discovery motion, I asked for all unused footage that day. This is what I was provided with." The judge was shocked. "Mrs. Brown, is it your argument that Cody and Robyn intentionally deceived not only the family but the producers of the show too?" "Yes, Your Honor," replied Christine. "Because the truth about the land sale would have wrecked the season's storyline, and they needed time to cover their tracks before the rest of us caught on." Cody got up, flaming red with anger. "They're using my own show against me," he bellowed. "That is entrapment." "No, Mr. Brown," the judge replied quietly. "That is a documentary." A quiver of laughter ran through the back of the courtroom. Even the stenographer smiled. Christine settled back in her seat. The mask had finally slipped off. The man who had constructed his life for the cameras had been undone by the very lens he believed he held sway over. As Christine stood again, she no longer looked like a jilted wife, but rather a veteran prosecutor. Her voice now reflected the equanimity of one who had already triumphed. She was merely waiting for everyone else to catch up. "Your Honor," she continued, "I would now like to show the financial transactions that have to do with an entity called Silverbridge Holdings, LLC." The instant the words were uttered, Robyn's eyes widened, and Cody turned his head to her in perplexity. "That has nothing to do with this," Robyn stuttered. "It is an investment vehicle for my children's future." Christine picked up a heavy, stapled booklet of printed financial transactions. "Not exactly," she responded icily. "This LLC was secretly registered in Robyn's maiden name, Sullivan, back in May 2021, only weeks prior to the Coyote Pass deal. And on state property records, Parcel B, the most expensive piece of land along the lakebed, was not acquired under Robyn Brown or the Brown Family Trust. It was bought under this LLC Silverbridge Holdings." Gasp filled the courtroom. The judge shifted forward. "You are saying, Mrs. Brown, that the property was routed through a company that the other parties were not aware of?" Christine nodded. She walked towards the evidence screen and presented a PDF of the wire transfer. On the 18th of June, 2021, a $72,000 payment was sent through an account ending in 4009, an account which has, over the past 6 years, seen direct deposits from sister wives' disbursements by TLC, all under the name Brown Family Holdings. That money was then transferred instantly to Silverbridge Holdings, which made the land purchase within 48 hours. The judge raised an eyebrow. So the money came from the Community Family Fund? Christine confirmed, yes, but a single-member LLC is the end holder of the property. Robyn is the sole member. Robyn started whispering hysterically to her attorney. Cody was paralyzed, driving straight ahead as if attempting to rewire reality. Undefined, why didn't you tell me? Undefined, he grumbled to Robyn. Undefined, you said it was under the trust. It was supposed to be temporary, Robyn snapped back under her breath. Wanted the credit clean and quick. Undefined, Christine wasn't done when she clicked to another document. A Schedule C tax form submitted for Silverbridge Holdings. Your Honor, this one, submitted last year, demonstrates income derived from renting Parcel B to an outside contractor who put up temporary storage on the property while we were still debating plot boundaries. Robyn generated $18,400 profit from property. She informed us she was merely holding for the family. The judge slumped back in his chair, shocked. Miss Brown, he said to Robyn now. Why did you fail to reveal this LLC during discovery? Robyn's attorney attempted to jump in, but the judge wouldn't let him. This isn't a reality show confession booth. If you used money from your family to buy a property and then put it in your sole control, that is a material misstatement with serious implications. Christine fired her last shot with unforgiving precision. This wasn't about property. This was a deliberate strategy between Cody and Robyn to keep the most desirable part of Coyote Pass, shut it behind walls of law, and then finagle the rest of us into taking leftovers, all while presenting unity on national television. She left that hanging there. Then, in a sort of poetic flourish, she produced one final photo, a capture of a long-since deleted ad on a rental website. Parcel B available for long-term storage use, managed by Silverbridge Holdings, Flagstaff, Arizona. It had been leased out during the time the family was battling to save it, monetized in secret. The courtroom fell into stunned silence. Cody remained standing with fists balled. This was never the plan. This was about security for Robyn and the younger children. You all had your time. You all abandoned the family. No one believed him any longer. Christine's tale had revealed the crack line, and it went straight through a shell company no one had ever heard of, until today. The courtroom hadn't yet shaken out the Silverbridge Holdings bomb when Janelle Brown silently rose. Her hands didn't tremble. Her speech was firm. But those eyes, braced for years of loyalty that had turned to regret, spoke in volumes that something was about to shatter into pieces. Your Honor, she started. I've been silent for too long. I believed in the dream, in the property, in the family. But following what Christine just made known, I feel obligated to reveal what Cody did not want anyone to know, least of all in a courtroom. The judge signaled for her to continue. Janelle extracted a pile of printed screenshots from a manila folder labeled July 2021 Faye Private Conversations and held up her phone to confirm the iMessage thread. Here are messages Cody sent me over the summer of 2021 at about the same time Christine discovered the land sale. I still thought we were all getting equal land at that point, but now it is clear Cody was delaying, manipulating, and secretly repurposing Mary's land. She read from one message dated the 9th of July, Janelle. Mary doesn't even want her lot. She is emotionally checked out. We should just let Robyn fill out that space. You are smart, you get it. Help me make this smooth. Then another one dated only a few days later. Look, if we sell off Mary's corner, we can use that to cover the tax hold on Parcel B. It'll keep things clean. Robyn needs a win right now. I'll make it up to you. The room fell silent. Even Robyn's face looked shocked. Christine leaned forward, her mouth open a little. This was not financial manipulation. It was a calculated redistribution of family assets, disguised as strategic planning, the catch. None of the wives had been on board, and this so-called tax hold that Cody was talking about? Christine had already demonstrated that Parcel B had no such lien. It was a fabrication. Janelle then dropped the hammer. She handed the judge a notarized letter from a real estate attorney she had consulted at the time. The letter advised her that if Cody moved forward with reallocating property tied to her name or Mary's, using funds without explicit permission from all beneficiaries, it could trigger civil liability. Or worse, criminal fraud, depending on how the documents were signed. Janelle faced Cody now, talking not as a co-parent or ex-wife but as a person who finally looked beyond the haze. "You instructed me to play along. You said I was the only logical one remaining, but this was not logic, it was betrayal. You wanted me to assist you to cover up the fact that you and Robyn had already staked out the better spot before the rest of us even came to a decision on a survey." Cody stood there, his throat raw. "You knew what we were facing. I had to get Robyn locked down. You were to assist me, not betray me like this." But Janelle stood firm. What you wanted was loyalty, not justice. And what you did was not family. It was a deception. She faced the judge again. "I present these texts and the legal opinion as formal evidence." The judge reviewed the packet slowly, page by page. "If these messages are verified," he said carefully, "then we're not just dealing with a messy family dispute. We're looking at a coordinated effort to alter property agreements for financial gain. This will require forensic review and possibly state intervention." The courtroom murmured. Robyn was pale. Cody's fists were clenched at his side, his face stripped of its usual bravo. Christine sat back and whispered to her attorney, "This is the thread that unravels the whole thing." Because it wasn't just about Coyote Pass anymore, it was all about intent. And whether Cody had intentionally deceived his wives, misused family money, and tampered with real estate records in the name of family harmony. The house of cards was on shaky ground, and Janelle had just pulled out a key piece. The courtroom was electric with tension. Even the camera crew, permitted for documentary access on strict confidentiality, caught their breaths as Judge Hambrick entered the room again, carrying a leather folder. Everyone was watching him. Christine sat next to her lawyer, composed but watchful. Janelle looked ahead, arms crossed tightly. Mary looked down, almost hiding from the implosion that she was sure to befall her. And then there was Cody, flushed, jaw tight, one leg bouncing uncontrollably, while Robyn sat frozen beside him, her tear-streaked face revealing a woman who no longer controlled the narrative. The judge stood behind the bench and cleared his throat. After examining the property deeds, LLC holdings, financial transactions, personal letters, and witness statements, this court has overwhelming evidence of willful misrepresentation in the partitioning and administration of Coyote Pass. A collective gasp was heard. He turned squarely to Cody. "Mr. Brown, you withheld from your family, and from this court, the fact of Silverbridge Holdings and its involvement in Parcel B's acquisition. The court perceives this as a breach of fiduciary duty in a joint family trust." Cody appeared shocked. "I thought I was keeping safe." "This is not about safety," the judge cut in. "This is about openness, which, according to these depositions and records, was willfully omitted." The judge turned next to Robyn. "Mrs. Brown, your assertion that Silverbridge Holdings was a stand-alone investment separate from family holdings has been contradicted by bank statements, income reports, and your own erased rental advertisement. In addition, the recovered voicemail recording presented by Mary Brown and attested to be authentic establishes that you deliberately took possession of Coyote Pass property in the belief it was owed to you as the last lawful wife. That belief, though emotionally correct, does not make up for financial misappropriation." The courtroom fell silent, except for the quiet weeping of Robyn. The judge went on, his tone now absolute. "Hereby, the court instructs the prompt transfer of ownership of Parcel B from Silverbridge Holdings to the court trustee on behalf of the collective Brown Family Trust. All rental income earned on the property shall be audited and reverted to the communal family pool. In addition, hereby the court is initiating a civil investigation for possible tax violations with regard to this undeclared income." Robyn covered her face with her hands. Red-faced and speechless, Cody whispered something incoherent to his attorney. But the judge wasn't finished yet. "As for Mrs. Christine Brown, your documentation, timeline, and demeanor in presenting this to the court is a testament to integrity and a sense of rightful justice. The court cannot erase the emotional harm, but it does acknowledge your actions today as being a significant step towards accountability. Christine let out a breath, not a smile, not a smirk, just breath. Well, finally, truth was breathing again. As of this decision, the judge determined, Coyote Pass will be redistributed evenly between the original 5 spouses, subject to final consideration by independent survey and legal audit. This court is adjourned. The gavel came down. Chaos followed. Not yelling or anger, but a pictorial unraveling of denial. Robyn, defeated, was led out first. Cody remained behind, frozen hands clutching the bench, as if it might still hold fast his imploding world. Christine, Janelle, and Mary shared glances. Not triumph, but vindication. Years of gaslighting, manipulation, and secrets hidden beneath the red dust of Coyote Pass had finally boiled over into truth. Outside the court, Christine addressed a throng of media and supporters. Cameras clicked. A reporter inquired, "Christine, what now? What does this decision mean to you?" She hesitated, glanced up into the Arizona sun, and whispered, "It means the land will no longer be a reminder of control. It'll be a reminder of survival, of resisting for myself, for my children, and for every woman ever scolded for being selfish, for demanding fairness." And with that, she walked off the steps, not into a new scandal, not into a show, but into a story she at last owned.